Hey there gamers, DreamcastGuy here. Today we're talking about the Final Fantasy VII Remake because they just shadow dropped a demo on Nintendo Switch 2, and you guys know this, my subscribers have known that I am completely obsessed with Final Fantasy VII. The original is my favorite game of all time, but even the remake, I have put hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours into it. So I've been curious, not just about how this is going to look, not just about, hey, how does a game that plays so good on PS5, how does it look on the Nintendo Switch 2? It looks good, but I was also curious about how it plays, how it runs, and also the new ultra easy mode they're making for this. I've got a lot to say. Let's break it down. Hi, hope you're having a great day, and if you could, please give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. So this demo, completely free, obviously, right? But if you happen to beat it, it actually carries the progress over to the main game. So if you have a Nintendo Switch 2, I encourage you to check it out. But let's start by talking about the technical details of this port and why, even though this version looks good, I have some concerns. Now, the weird thing about this INTERGRADE demo, this INTERGRADE port they're putting on Nintendo Switch 2 is that, first off, I'm glad it's only $40. A lot of times it feels like they love to try and price everything at $60 or $70, even though this came out, 6 years ago? At launch, this will have come out 6 years ago. I'm glad they're making it $40. I'll be honest, I already pre-ordered it. I am definitely buying this, obviously, but the other aspect of it is that it's, to me, a bit strange that Square Enix has confirmed the entire Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy. Obviously, we have the first two parts, INTERGRADE and Rebirth. All of the games are eventually going to come to the Nintendo Switch 2. And the reason that's so interesting to me is that this first one, the first part of the Final Fantasy VII Remake game, this one was originally released on the PlayStation 4. But the second one was built for the PS5, right? And even then, it had a lot of trouble actually running on a base PS5. How is that game even going to look on the PlayStation going to this? Going from PS5 Pro maybe to Nintendo Switch 2, right? So let's start with talking about the graphics of this. The graphics of this are surprisingly fantastic, but it is hard locked at 30 FPS. I think maybe my frame counting software says it may be around 40 FPS for chunks of it, but Square Enix's official statement is that they've decided it is important to have the game hard locked at 30 FPS. Now, it actually looks very good texture-wise. You can see the individual threads of people's clothes or the feathering in people's hairs. There's no load times. Everything's very instantaneous. Cutscenes especially look utterly fantastic when the characters are talking about the fate of the planet or there's explosions or combat. Things look absolutely glorious. But I do have to admit that I do wish there was an option for a 60 FPS mode. Mostly because, honestly, this game does look so good in those crazy fights when you're trying to machine gun or switch between characters or slinging magic. I think the 30 FPS looks surprisingly good, though. There are some games that have a very bad looking 30 FPS and some that run it better, right? Recently, I made a video complaining about that. They made a Switch 2 patch of Skyrim and it runs at 30 FPS and it looks choppy as hell. This is a smooth 30 FPS, so even though I wish it was higher, at least it's not as bad as some 30 FPSs we've seen very recently. Now, with that being said, I do think that it's taking me a bit to sort of adapt to these controls, just in the fact that I put so many hundreds of hours now into the PlayStation 5 version that just playing it with these controllers, the button layout is a little bit different, especially handheld. When I'm trying to click to run and stuff, sometimes it still feels slightly off. With a Pro controller, of course, it feels perfect, but while I was playing it handheld, it still looks incredibly good, but I will admit that it still feels, it's just taking me a bit to adapt. I mean, probably within even 3 or 4 hours, I'll fully be acclimated, but I did notice that it sounds like the sound design is a bit off. Something about the audio mixing sounds very different on Nintendo Switch 2. The music feels about 90% too quiet, and even when I turn it up, it just doesn't quite sound right. It's a very strange version of the game itself, right? So it does make me wonder, how in the world is Rebirth going to run? That game already looks kind of rough on a base PS5. How in the world is that even going to fit on a Nintendo Switch 2 without just being the blurriest, downgraded, PlayStation 2 graphics possible, right? Okay, So let's talk about the new ultra easy mode. This is not a rumor. This is 100% confirmed. Square Enix is bragging about it. Essentially, they call it Streamlined Progression Mode. Now, when this comes out on Nintendo Switch 2, they're actually going to release it on PlayStation 5, on Steam, and on Xbox as well. This is a new patch that's coming to every version of Final Fantasy VII Remake. And basically, now that I've had a chance to see it for myself, it's extremely odd. You can start the game way leveled up with tons of money, so basically you never need to grind. I don't know why you would want that. Like, to me, part of the fun of an RPG is the leveling up, is the grinding, is that barely beating a boss when you have 1% health. That's the point of it. One of my very favorite memories of the original Final Fantasy VII was the first time I ever beat that big monster called Materia Keeper. I was at 1% health, and I had a limit break, and I should have healed, but instead I did a Clim Hazard limit break, and I killed him, and my buddy was over there at the time, and we literally jumped up screaming. The challenge of RPGs is the fun of RPGs, right? But if you're just trying to play this to be a cutscene, I guess, it's your money, do what you want. There is multiple versions of easy mode now. There's easy mode classic and easy mode normal. Essentially, when you put this on easy mode, you can have the game literally play itself. Your character will automatically attack, defend, and you just use magic and potions when you want. I didn't even record gameplay of this. I've tried easy mode classic on PS5, and honestly, it was so bad I didn't want to record the gameplay of it here. But there's also a new thing that lets you have always full health, always full mana, always do instant 10,000 damage, so you can one-shot any enemy in the game, including secret optional super bosses and stuff. And you can even have it so you have the max number of potions, healing items, ethers at all time. This streamlined progression mode to me makes absolutely no sense. I mean, I don't even know how to explain it. It just sometimes feels like companies are afraid to challenge you, right? It feels like every company now is able to see your playtime, your play data, and it feels like if they ever see someone hit a brick wall, they lose to a boss and they log off, the companies go, oh God, make it easier, make it easier. This streamlined progression mode to me is very, very, very odd, especially now that I'm seeing it in live. I will say, though, that obviously I'm still super happy that Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade is here. Rebirth is a bigger game. Rebirth is like 10 times the size of Remake, which still feels utterly impossible, but I still like the original FF7 Remake OG the most, right? The first part of this trilogy to me is still my favorite of the bunch. So now, getting that entire game, which is so big already, and putting it on the Nintendo Switch 2, I am 100% on board. Try the demo out for yourself. Beyond just the visual aspects, I'm curious to see how people kind of play it. And, it's just me, but personally, I kind of wish how many people even tried this streamlined progression mode, these new ultra easy modes. Because at this point, I think that at that point, you're kind of just robbing yourself of the fun of Final Fantasy. But this has just been some off-the-cuff thoughts. How do you feel about Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade, and are you ready to check it out? Honestly, this to me is very cool. The fact that it's the Intergrade version and not even the OG, it has all the DLC, all the patches, photo mode, all the updates, everything all on one freaking thing. This is the best version of FF7 Remake, and I'm honestly very happy about it. But tell me your thoughts in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and please keep dreaming.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.